Welcome to the penultimate episode in a 7-part video series covering DC's Blackest Night event. This time we'll be taking a look at Blackest Night number 5, Blackest Night Wonder Woman number 2, Green Lantern number 49, Blackest Night number 6, Blackest Night Wonder Woman number 3, Green Lantern number 50, and Green Lantern number 51. That's a lot of comics and there's a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. Blackest Night number 5, written by Geoff Johns with pencils by Evan Hayes, inks by Auclair Albert and Joe Prado, colors by Alex Sinclair, and letters by Nick J. Napolitano. Barry Allen, the Flash, confronts Nekron in Coast City as 7 million people claw their way out of the grave as newly risen Black Lanterns. He's saved by the arrival of the Justice League and the Titans, but not everyone was able to join the fight. Back in New York, Ray Palmer, the Atom, is trying in vain to pry the Black Ring off of Damage's finger, only to be taunted by the Black Lantern who killed Damage in the first place, Ray's own wife, Jean Loring. When Mara steps in to help Ray, Jean grabs them both, shrinks them down, and pulls them inside of Damage's Black Lantern ring. Back in Coast City, the battle is going about as well as you could expect. The heroes are doing their best to beat back the ever-increasing army of Black Lanterns, while Dove is just walking around emitting white light and permanently destroying anything that attacks her. It really seems like she should have a more important role here. The Flash family attempt to free the Guardians, but are attacked by Scar, who's determined to make sure that her brethren play their part in Nekron's plan. But just in time, Hal Jordan returns from space, and he's brought the leaders of every Lantern Corps with him. Larfleeze tries claiming Scar as his own, since she looks different from the rest of the Guardians, and that makes her a collector's item. Since Scar has fully embraced the power of death, the combined light of all the Lanterns is able to destroy her once and for all. This victory fills the Lanterns with confidence as they move on to their ultimate goal, the Black Central Battery. Destroying this battery will destroy everything connected to it, so the Lanterns fire their rings, combining their lights once more, but nothing happens. Remember, the Black Lanterns had been collecting emotional spectrum energy, so all that Hal's group is doing right now is topping off the battery. Nekron just watches as things proceed according to plan. He sends out a single black ring that makes its way to the skull of Bruce Wayne, which Black Hand has been carrying around all this time. A moment later, Batman has risen as a Black Lantern. Now, it's worth noting that this isn't actually Batman, because Bruce Wayne didn't really die. In Final Crisis, Batman was shot by Darkseid's Omega Beams, which teleported him into the past. So, Bruce is actually having a secret time travel adventure right now, but nobody knows it. Well, nobody but Nekron. He puts Bruce Wayne in quotes, implying that he knows the truth, and of course he does, he's Nekron. Being connected to the dead is his whole deal. And having a connection to the dead is really the whole point. Dozens of the world's greatest heroes have died and come back to life, and every single one of them has an emotional connection to Batman. By making them all believe that Batman has risen as a Black Lantern, Nekron can grab hold of the emotions connecting them to Batman and take back all of the resurrected heroes. He sends out black rings that target Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Arrow, Animal Man, Ice, Kid Flash, Superboy, everyone who Nekron ever allowed back into the realm of the living, and converts them all into Black Lanterns. This was Nekron's plan all along, allow enough heroes to cheat death so that he could eventually call in that debt and use them to help destroy all light and life. Now, half of the heroes who came to save the day have just joined the enemy, and 2 more black rings are making their way towards Hal and Barry. Now, we need to take a quick detour over to Green Lantern number 49, written by Geoff Johns with pencils by Ed Benes and Marcos Mars, inks by Luciana Del Negro, colors by Hi-Fi, and letters by Rob Lay. The planet Xanshi has been resurrected by the Black Rings, and John Stewart has gone down to investigate. It's been so many years since he failed to save this world from destruction, and the Black Lanterns are counting on John still being haunted by those memories. The billions of people who died when Xanshi exploded are now rising and coming after John, but none of them impact him more than the sight of his dead wife Katma Tui. First, she tries to guilt John for moving on after she died. Then she reminds him of a fear he developed while in the military, of dying and being left behind on enemy soil, unable to return home and out of reach of family and friends. A fear that could very easily come true in the current situation. But John has spent a great deal of time dwelling on his past, perhaps too much time, but it was enough to make him finally realize that what happened to Xanshi can't define his life anymore. He was arrogant, he made a mistake, and he failed to save this planet and its people. But he didn't kill them. Whoever planted the bomb did. And we can talk forever about the semantics of that argument, but what's important right now is that it's something that John can latch on to, and give himself the push he needs to finally move on from this part of his past. After fighting back for a while and making no real progress, John realizes that the best way to win this game is by refusing to play. He doesn't need to be on Xanshi, so he just flies straight up into space and leaves. That's when he makes a terrible discovery. They were no longer in Xanshi's sector. The planet had been moving all this time and is now approaching Earth. I talked about it in a prior video, but this whole Jon Stewart Xanshi plotline feels so weightless compared to everything else that's been going on, which is very disappointing considering that the character has been building up to this moment for decades. This issue focuses more on Jon's relationship with Katma than it does his guilt over the destruction of Xanshi, and Xanshi doesn't even really feel like a place. Almost all of the backgrounds are an empty gray void, and the Black Lanterns rising up are just generic crowds of zombies. The concept of this issue is a great idea, but I think they fumbled the ball pretty badly. They even did the same exploding power battery trick that we just saw in Green Lantern Corps, except this time it wasn't anywhere near as impressive. Also, I can't move on from this issue without pointing out that one of the Star Sapphires, Yira Sinril, aka Fatality, is both Jon's new love interest and a survivor of the planet Xanshi. So not only would the interaction with Black Lantern Katma Tui have been a lot more interesting if she was there, they missed a major opportunity to have Yira interact with a revived Xanshi. This was her home. All of her friends and family, everyone she's ever known, is likely walking around as a Black Lantern right now, and she's nowhere to be found. Even though losing them is the entire foundation that her character was built on. This issue was bad enough when I just evaluated it on a technical level, and as a Jon Stewart story. But when I realized that the most important character was left out, I can't see this issue as anything other than a complete waste. It's a waste of potential, it's a waste of time, and it leaves me feeling equal parts angry and disappointed. But I've already given this issue more attention than it's worth, so let's move on. Now we're on to Blackest Night number 6, with the same creative team as issue 5. Hal and Barry are the only resurrected heroes who have managed to avoid the Black Rings, but they're still in danger. Every other resurrected hero turned Black Lantern is now trying to restrain them so that a black ring can land on their finger. If that wasn't bad enough, Hal can't afford to fight back, because if his light combines with the light of any other lantern, it could kill the likes of Superman or Wonder Woman now that they're Black Lanterns. The problems keep stacking up, but Barry has a plan. The Black Rings are locked onto Hal and Barry thanks to their emotional link to Batman, so what they need to do is sever that link. Barry grabs Hal and runs so fast that they travel through time, exactly 2 seconds into the future. That means that for 2 seconds, Hal and Barry didn't exist anywhere, so the Black Rings lost their connection. I gotta tell you, I love goofy Silver Age solutions like this, especially when they can take some of the edge off of an overly dire situation. It's moments like this that keep Blackest Night fun, instead of sinking into grimdark territory, which it very easily could. Still, Barry and Hal don't know what to do. Now that they know, every hero who's ever come back from the dead is linked to Nekron, and Nekron was responsible for allowing all of their resurrections to happen in the first place, does stopping all of this mean that they lose their lives permanently? Meanwhile, Jean Loring is still dragging Mera and the Atom kicking and screaming through the microscopic network connecting the Black Rings. They're intercepted by Deadman, who possesses Jean's body and sets them free. He also thinks Mera's hero name is Fishwoman, which is fun. Deadman has been inhabiting as many Black Lanterns as possible in an attempt to learn something of value, and he warns them that every Black Lantern in the universe is being summoned to Earth. Right about then, we're treated to a very nice 2-page spread of John Stewart heading towards Earth with Xanshi and a few billion Black Lanterns right behind him. A few notable Black Lanterns to point out here are Khufu and Shayera, the original incarnations of Hawkman and Hawkgirl, who we last saw on the planet Zamaron when they blew up the Star Sapphire Central Battery by flying out of it. There's at least 3 of the 5 inversions, the magic aliens who told Abin Sur the Blackest Night prophecy in the first place. There's also Airwave, Hal Jordan's superhero cousin who's also named Hal Jordan for some reason. I don't know why he's showing up here instead of on Earth where Hal is, but either way it's nice to see him. Deadman can only control Jean's body for a moment, so Mera takes the opportunity to rip her in half so that the Atom can get them out of there. And even though they entered the network through Damage's ring in New York, they exit through Wonder Woman's ring in Coast City, which is good because this is the place where they're needed the most. But it also means they now have to deal with Black Lantern Wonder Woman. Mera tells Ray to find the Flash while she holds Wonder Woman at bay. Wonder Woman taunts Mera, laughing at the idea that someone like Mera can actually beat Wonder Woman of all people. And Mera, who's tired of running, just says, "To tell you the truth, Princess, I've always wanted to find out." And through Black Lantern vision, we can see Mera brimming with rage. Now we're going to do something a little different. We're going to pause our coverage of Blackest Night number 6 and head over to Blackest Night Wonder Woman number 2. Written by Greg Rucka with pencils by Nicola Scott and Eduardo Pansica, inks by Jonathan Glapian and Eber Ferreira, colors by Ney Rufino, and letters by Travis Lanham. Mera and Black Lantern Wonder Woman are having a pretty brutal fight, and unfortunately, Mera can't quite keep up with Diana's strength and combat ability. Until the fight moves close to the water. Now Mera can fight from a distance and literally control the environment, giving her the advantage she needs to overwhelm Wonder Woman. But all of that momentum is lost when Mera hesitates, just for a moment, because she doesn't actually want to kill Wonder Woman, and surprisingly, Wonder Woman does the same. All throughout the issue, we've seen Diana's inner monologue trying in vain to fight back against the Ring's programming, and all of that struggling finally paid off, giving her a brief moment of control that allowed her to fly far away from Mera. I love this whole scene, because we're still learning more about the nature of the Black Lanterns even though Blackest Night is almost over, and it's even expanding on what we already know. As we learned previously, a Black Lantern isn't the person they appear to be. They're just a simulation being run by the Black Ring. But in the case of resurrected heroes like Wonder Woman, that simulation is being run on top of the actual person whose mind is being suppressed. Think of it as the difference between a robot with malicious AI and someone trapped in robotic armor that's fully controlled by malicious AI. Diana's mind and free will is still buried in there, and it makes sense that she'd be able to resist. Diana tries to pull the ring off, but it roots itself to her finger. She is ready to cut her own hand off with an axe to rid herself of this ring. But then Wonder Girl shows up, offering to do whatever it takes to help. But Diana harvests her heart instead. And then she cuts down Donna Troy, and then her own mother, Hippolyta, and then Batman shows up? But Bruce isn't supposed to be here. That's when a blinding light washes away the darkness, and Diana is standing in the presence of Aphrodite, the goddess of love. It's revealed that everything that happened after Wonder Woman flew away from Mera has been an illusion created by Aphrodite, so that Diana could work to regain control of herself without harming anyone. As they speak, a Star Sapphire ring circles Diana, a symbol of the power of love seemingly being offered by the goddess of love. Aphrodite states that in darkness, love must survive. Diana says that love must do more than just survive. It must triumph. In that moment, the love in Diana's heart overwhelms the Black Ring's programming, and it shatters, revealing a Star Sapphire ring underneath. This is all within Aphrodite's illusory space, and everything that just happened with the two rings is entirely metaphorical, symbolizing Diana's true loving nature breaking free of the darkness that was suppressing her. It just happens to line up pretty nicely with what's going on back in reality, which we should talk about right now. So back to Blackest Night number 6. The Lanterns figured that maybe the reason they couldn't damage the Black Central Battery is because they don't have enough light to rival so much darkness. The Indigos are working to gather the various cores, but that's going to take time. So Ganthet, the best Guardian ever, comes up with the new plan. Green Lantern rings have always been able to make temporary copies of themselves, so that new lanterns can be deputized in case of emergency. And since the rings of every Lantern Corps are based on the same technology, Ganthet is able to activate that option in all of them. Each of them spawn one additional ring that goes out in search of a suitable bearer. A Green Lantern ring goes to Ganthet, the first Guardian willing to fight on the front lines alongside the Lanterns. The Blue Ring of Hope finds Barry Allen, who always believes there's a way to save everyone. The Orange Ring of Greed took Lex Luthor, who's still holed up in his personal bunker, saving himself from all the people he's killed over the years. The Yellow Ring of Fear enlightens Scarecrow, a master of inflicting fear on others even though he's grown desensitized to it himself. The Indigo Ring of Compassion embraces Ray Palmer, the Atom, who's spent this entire story caring about others no matter what they did in the past. The Red Ring of Rage claims Mara, who's lost everything. And, of course, the Violet Ring of Love offers itself to Wonder Woman, as we get to see what actually happened when she was conversing with a vision of Aphrodite. The newly deputized heroes and villains are ready to start wielding the light of the emotional spectrum, and we start to see it in Blackest Night Wonder Woman number 3. Written by Greg Rucka with pencils by Nicola Scott, inks by Jonathan Glapion, colors by Ney Rufino, and letters by Travis Lanham. Diana is marveling at what it's like to actually wear the physical embodiment of an emotion. Apparently, every Green Lantern she's ever met has tried to describe it to her, but they never did it justice. It's a brief moment, but it's a nice little acknowledgement of what an incredible thing a lantern ring is. The very concept of it is something indescribable. Carol Ferris links up with her, and the two Star Sapphires head into battle. Along the way, we see that Diana has something of a natural talent for using her ring, seemingly because of the unusually high amount of love she feels for the world. She very quickly learns to read the hearts of others, and accurately points out that Carol depends on the love contained within her ring to fill the void in her heart left by her unrequited love for Hal. I actually really wish this conversation could continue, because it would probably be very good for Carol to talk to someone like Diana about her mess of a love life. But there's a zombie apocalypse happening across the street and they have to go. The strategy is to contain as many Black Lanterns as possible until a Green Lantern can finish the job. But Wonder Woman quickly becomes distracted by the return of Black Lantern Maxwell Lord. He's still using the exact same bag of tricks he tried in the first issue of Blackest Night Wonder Woman, and they're even less convincing this time around. Diana deals with him using this really cool move, where she goes to punch him with her ring hand, but in the second before her fist makes contact, a beam from her ring encases him in crystal, so the punch connects and shatters Max into tiny pieces. It won't achieve anything, since he'll just regenerate, but it probably made Diana feel pretty good. That's when Diana runs into Mara, who you'll recall is a Red Lantern now, and has fully succumbed to the ring's power. She is blinded by rage and is lashing out like a murderous beast. Mara is putting everything she has into every strike, and nothing Diana says is getting through to her. Even the Star Sapphire ring can't sift through all of that rage to read her heart. So Diana tries something new, something only she can do. She snares Mara with the Lasso of Truth, and then infuses it with the Sapphire Ring's power. By combining the ring's ability to touch your heart with the lasso's ability to compel the truth, all of Mara's barriers instantly fall, and Diana finally understands. Mara's rage is fueled by self-hatred. I'll admit that I don't know enough about this character's history to fully understand why she feels this way. I know she's one of the only surviving members of the Aquaman family at this point, and a long time ago she and Arthur lost a child, but I don't recognize most of the scenes being referenced in Wonder Woman's vision. Regardless, I get the point, and a red ring responding to hatred that doesn't come from an external source is something new that I don't think we've seen before. This breakthrough actually manages to calm Mara down enough that she regains control of herself. Just in time, too, because Hal and the others are ready to go fight Nekron. Green Lantern number 50, written by Jeff Johns, with pencils by Doug Mahnke, inks by Christian Alme, Rebecca Buckman, Tom Wynn, and Mark Irwin, colors by Randy Mayer and Gabe Eltaib, and letters by Rob Lay. Millions of Black Lanterns are swarming Coast City, with billions more about to rain down from outer space. Hal's group is doing what they can, but they remain scattered and uncoordinated. The strained group dynamic has only gotten worse with the addition of villains like Lex Luthor and the Scarecrow, but Hal is trying to focus and corral this makeshift team so they can attack Nekron. A nice touch that makes it seem like this event is coming full circle is the fact that most of the Black Lanterns we see in this issue are ones that we saw rise back in the first few chapters of the story. Villains from the crypt below the Hall of Justice, the Black Lantern Justice League, and even the Spectre. The Blue Lanterns are attempting to free Jason Rush, who's still merged with Black Lantern Firestorm, by locking onto his Hope and pulling him out with a construct of his girlfriend Jen. Black Lantern Aquaman finally catches up with Mara, and even presents her with their dead son, really trying to emotionally torture her. But in an extreme moment that gives a lot of new context to the end of Blackest Night Wonder Woman number 3, Mara screams that she never wanted children and then incinerates both of them with her napalm breath. I'm pretty sure this was love at first sight for Atrocitus. While all of that traumatic and disturbing stuff is going on, the Spectre has decided to re-merge with Hal, infecting and decaying his body, welcoming him to the Black Lantern Corps. The Guardians, Ganthet and Sade, manage to free Hal before it's too late, but then the Spectre eats them. Hal knocks the Spectre's jaw off and sets them free, and then the other Lanterns join in the fight. Scarecrow in particular loves being a Yellow Lantern. Years of exposure to his own toxin have dulled his senses to the point that he can't feel fear normally anymore, and could only experience fear if Batman was chasing him. But now, thanks to this ring, Scarecrow can finally feel it again. He never wants to let this ring go, and even says that he doesn't need Batman anymore. This is a trend we see with Scarecrow going forward. He wants to stop being a Batman villain so he can start being a Green Lantern character. There's even a storyline years later in Green Lanterns number 16 and 17, all about him actively trying to make that happen. But for now, he's having the time of his life fighting the Spectre. Despite the best efforts of the group, nothing they do can stop the Spectre, so Hal decides it's time to do something drastic. With the help of Ganthet and Sinestro, they summon the Parallax entity. The last time Spectre had an opportunity to battle Parallax, he chose to run away instead. Hal thinks that means the Spectre can't beat Parallax, or at the very least, is afraid of Parallax. And after some strong protesting from both Sinestro and Carol, Hal gives himself over to fear, allowing the entity to take him as a host once more. Because it wouldn't be a 50th issue of Green Lantern if Hal Jordan didn't become Parallax. That brings us to Green Lantern number 51, written by Jeff Johns with art by Doug Mahnke, colors by Randy Mayer, and letters by Rob Lay. Parallax and Black Lantern Spectre are going all out in a brutal battle against each other, while everyone else continues to do what they can to thin out the horde of Black Lanterns. Parallax truly hates the Spectre, but it has no interest in the fake Spectre being presented by the Black Ring. So Parallax permanently destroys the ring, releasing the Spectre in a moment reminiscent of the Spectre freeing Hal from Parallax back in Green Lantern Rebirth. With the Black Lantern Spectre finally out of the way, everyone's ready to advance to the final boss and go fight Nekron. Except the Spectre and Parallax won't stop trying to kill each other. And Atrocitus, of all people, is the voice of reason here. He knows this is dumb because Nekron is literally right around the corner and they don't have time for this. But ever the opportunist, Atrocitus takes advantage of the rage coursing through the Spectre and tries to claim the spirit of vengeance as a member of the Red Lantern Corps. The Spectre shakes off this influence and ends the fight with Parallax in a pretty interesting way. He admits to being afraid of Parallax, and that fear links the two of them together. But Hal's love anchors him to Carol. So if the Spectre and Carol both grab on at the same time, they can literally pull Hal and Parallax apart. I really like this because it's consistent with the logic that the Black Lanterns have been using to manipulate the heroes all this time. This is the exact same tactic Necron used to turn Superman, Wonder Woman, and the rest of the resurrected heroes into Black Lanterns, and now the heroes figured out how to use it to their advantage. The Parallax entity vanishes from the battlefield, and the Spectre goes to confront Necron, only to discover that he's powerless to do anything. Necron isn't alive, and never had a soul. He's an avatar of the dark void of space. He exists beyond the Spectre's power. And with a word, Necron banishes the Spectre, like someone brushing away a housefly. Necron, his Black Lantern Justice League, and their Guardian prisoners stand ready to make their final move, and bring all of this to an end. I can't believe that with everything else already going on, they had time to focus on Parallax and the Spectre. But it does fit with the frantic and chaotic nature of this whole event. This whole time, the villains have been very calm and everything has been going according to plan, while the heroes have been freaking out and fighting among themselves and making it all up as they go along. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, life is pretty chaotic, and embracing that chaos may be the only way for light and life to win against death and darkness. But we'll know soon enough, because there is exactly one video left in this 7-part Blackest Night series. Next time, we're taking a look at The Atom and Hawkman number 46, Blackest Night number 7, Green Lantern Corps number 46, Green Lantern number 52, Blackest Night number 8, and Green Lantern Corps number 47. This is it. This is the grand finale, and to make sure you don't miss it, subscribe to the channel and ring that bell so we can finish the Blackest Night together. And while you wait for the next video to drop, leave a comment telling me what you thought about this batch of issues. What do you think of all the trickery going on with Batman? Could Red Lantern Mera take Wonder Woman in a fight? Do you think this was the time and place for the Spectre to fight Parallax? Let me know what you think, and I'll be back soon with the final installment in this series. Everyone, thank you for taking the time to watch. My name is Dan. We'll talk again soon.